Sprained ankle saved my life. There's a lot of things cameras don't catch. Am I a little more fearful as I get older? Yes, I am. Bad things can happen if you're not careful, and I don't want to be a part of it.
For 2 decades, Sig Hansen has been the face of Deadliest Catch, the tough-as-nails Norwegian-American captain who took over his family's fishing vessel, the FV Northwestern, at age 24.
I can get you a flight out of there and go home.
No, there's no point in doing that. I'm not getting off. Why would I get off?
And turned it into one of the most successful crab boats in the Bering Sea. He's the captain who's never lost a crew member at sea. The guy who built an empire on camera while maintaining an impeccable safety record in one of the world's most dangerous professions. But behind the cameras, Sig Hansen's life has been anything but smooth sailing. Heart attacks, legal troubles, a lawsuit from his estranged daughter, a brother who pled guilty to molesting a teenager, and health scares that nearly killed him multiple times. Now, at 58, Hansen is finally confirming what fans have suspected for years. So, what exactly has he just confirmed? Let's find out. The Hansen legacy. Sig Hansen was born into fishing. His grandfather pioneered opilio crab fishing in Alaska, giving crab boats a chance to earn money year-round, instead of just during short seasonal windows. His father, Sverre Hansen, continued that tradition, and by the time Sig was 14, he was already working as a deckhand on the family boat. There was no question about what Sig would do with his life. At 22, he became a relief skipper. By 24, he was running the Northwestern full-time, and under his command, the boat became legendary. In 2005 and 2006, the Northwestern won the final Derby seasons for both king crab and opilio crab, taking home the titles for highest poundage caught and highest dollars earned. But it wasn't just about the money. Sig built something rare in the Bering Sea, a reputation for safety. For nearly 20 years as captain, the Northwestern never had a single death at sea. In an industry where deaths average nearly 1 fisherman per week during peak season, that's extraordinary. Sig's serious injury rate was significantly lower than other boats too. When Deadliest Catch premiered in 2005, Sig thought it would be a one-season deal, maybe a neat tribute to his family's fishing legacy. He had no idea it would turn him into a celebrity, or that the cameras would still be rolling 20 years later. And he definitely didn't know that his personal struggles would eventually become just as much a part of the story as his fishing success. The first heart attack. In March 2016, Sig Hansen was 49 years old and filming Deadliest Catch when he felt a sharp pain behind his chest plate. Not like the movies, he later said, just a knife-like pressure that kept pushing, making him more angry than scared. At first, Hansen was in denial, and he wanted to keep fishing, but the medics ran tests and discovered he'd had a full-blown heart attack. They medevaced him to a hospital in Anchorage, where doctors found blocked arteries and performed an angioplasty to clear the blockage. The whole thing was captured on camera and aired on Discovery Channel. Millions of people watched Sig Hansen nearly die, and when he recovered, he went right back to fishing. That should have been the wake-up call, but it wasn't. In October 2018, right before the king crab season, Hansen had a sinus infection. His doctor prescribed antibiotics. Hansen took them and had a severe allergic reaction. His body went into shock. According to the nurse who treated him, he probably had less than 10 minutes left when they gave him an EpiPen. The allergic reaction triggered a second heart attack. When I got out the next day after, then I said to myself, you know what, that's it. Hansen told TV Insider. I was embarrassed and ashamed of myself, and that's when I threw the cigarettes away. He quit smoking after that, but the damage was done. 2 heart attacks before age 52. A lifetime of smoking and high-stress fishing had taken its toll, and Hansen knew it. He'd been given 2 chances. There wouldn't be a third. the infection that almost killed him. But the heart attacks weren't even the scariest moment. That came later, during a different trip, when Hansen narrowly avoided going out to sea and saved his own life without even knowing it. Hansen was planning to take the Northwestern to Seattle, which was a 7-day trip from Alaska. But his brother offered to handle the voyage so Sig could fly home early and spend time with his family. Hansen took the deal. When he got home, things went wrong fast. He woke up in the middle of the night, disoriented and sick. By morning, he was in bad shape. His wife, June, rushed him to the hospital, where doctors discovered he had a serious infection. They didn't waste time. He was injected with antibiotics immediately. If he'd been on that boat heading to Seattle, he would have died. No question. The Coast Guard couldn't have gotten there in time. Hansen himself said, "Had I been on that boat, I don't think the Coast Guard would have been there soon enough. That's all it would have took. One little slip in the ice, and then you got the infection, and that's how quick things can happen." Hansen has admitted he's now much more fearful about fishing than he used to be. For a man who spent decades building his reputation on toughness and fearlessness, that's a hell of an admission. Sig Hansen, the captain who never lost a crew member, is scared. And he's finally saying it out loud. The brother who disappeared. Edgar Hansen was Sig's right-hand man. The deck boss and relief skipper of the Northwestern, Edgar had spent almost 3 decades working alongside his older brother. He was a fixture on Deadliest Catch, appearing in nearly every episode for 13 seasons. Fans loved him for his more relaxed, reserved personality, totally different from Sig's intensity. Then, after season 14 in 2018, Edgar disappeared from the show. No explanation, no farewell episode. He just wasn't there anymore. Here's what actually happened. In September 2017, Edgar Hansen assaulted a 16-year-old girl at a home in Mount Lake Terrace, Washington. The victim told her therapist about the assault in October, then repeated the allegation to a police interview specialist. Mount Lake Terrace police forwarded the case to prosecutors for review. In July 2018, Edgar Hansen pled guilty to 4th-degree assault with sexual motivation. He submitted a handwritten statement admitting what he'd done. "I committed this for the purpose of my own gratification," Hansen wrote. "I am very sorry for that conduct, and I have commenced treatment to ensure that nothing like this assault ever happens again." Under the plea deal, Edgar received a 364-day suspended jail sentence, meaning he served no time. He paid court fines and fees of $1,653, underwent a sexual deviancy evaluation and treatment, and gave a DNA sample to authorities. That was it. Discovery Channel never commented on Edgar's legal issues. They just quietly removed him from the show. His last episode aired in August 2018 before his guilty plea. When season 15 returned in April 2019, Edgar Hansen was gone. Some viewers have claimed to spot him in the background of scenes aboard the Northwestern in later seasons, suggesting he might still work with Sig behind the scenes. But he's never appeared as a cast member again. Now, interestingly, Edgar's guilty plea came less than 2 weeks after his older brother Sig received his own sentence for a different crime, the Uber driver incident. In May 2017, Sig Hansen was out drinking. When he decided to head home, he called an Uber. The driver, Wahid Lawal, showed up to pick up Hansen and his family. Then things went sideways. According to reports, Lawal informed Hansen he couldn't accept cash for the ride. Hansen got angry. Words were exchanged. And then, according to Lawal and witnesses, Sig Hansen spit on the Uber driver. Hansen was arrested and charged with assault. Sig also didn't go to jail. He received a 1-year deferred sentence and probation. He was ordered to stop drinking alcohol for a year and enter a treatment facility for alcohol abuse. This wasn't just about one bad night. This was about a pattern. Hansen's drinking had been a problem for a while, and the Uber incident was just the moment it finally became public. The hard-charging captain who preached discipline and responsibility to his crew had a problem he couldn't control. To his credit, Hansen owned it. He completed the treatment program. He stopped drinking, and he's been open about his struggles with since then, acknowledging that it was a problem that needed to be addressed. But the incident revealed something important. The Sig Hansen that fans saw on TV, the tough, no-nonsense leader who had everything under control, wasn't the complete picture. Behind the cameras, things were messier than anyone knew. The daughter's lawsuit. Melissa Ekstrom is Sig Hansen's biological daughter from his first marriage to Lisa Ekstrom. That marriage ended in divorce in 1990, when Melissa was just 2 years old. And, according to Melissa, that's when the worst thing happened to her. In 2016, just months after Sig's highly publicized heart attack, Melissa sued her father, claiming he sexed her when she was a toddler during her parents' divorce. Now, 28 years old and working as a family law attorney in Seattle, Melissa stated in a court declaration, "I have memories of being in a room alone with my father and crying out in pain." She claimed that as a result of she battled depression, eating disorders, suicidal thoughts, and other trauma throughout her childhood. The lawsuit alleged she still harbored those memories nearly 3 decades later. Sig Hansen adamantly denied the allegations. "This is nothing more than an old-fashioned shakedown," he told reporters. "It's a completely frivolous lawsuit full of lies that my ex-wife made up to take away my daughter and still uses to try to extort money from me. It's blackmail." The case is complicated because similar allegations were investigated back during the 1990 divorce proceedings. At that time, a court-appointed psychiatrist named John Dunn concluded that abuse probably didn't occur. Instead, Dunn attributed Melissa's claims to parent alienation syndrome, a controversial theory that many legal and mental health experts have since discredited as junk science. Dunn concluded that the medical findings of likely represented typical pediatric problems, and he dismissed Melissa's spontaneous claims of as unconvincing. A guardian ad litem also concluded he couldn't determine whether abuse had occurred, but if she had been, I am of the opinion that Sig Hansen was not the perpetrator. However, Christine Robinson, a Washington Division of Children and Family Services supervisor, came to a different conclusion in 1992. "I found this investigation to be thorough and conclusive of sex," Robinson wrote in a letter. "The only perpetrator named by the child is Sig Hansen. In addition, medical findings corroborate the child's statement. No criminal charges were ever filed, but the civil case moved forward. In 2017, a King County judge ruled that Melissa's lawsuit could proceed to trial. The case then went to the State Court of Appeals, where it hung in legal limbo for years. The outcome of the lawsuit was never made public. There's no record of a trial or settlement being announced. Melissa and Sig have remained estranged, and neither has spoken publicly about the case since it disappeared from court records. But that's not the only family trouble he's faced. June's cancer battle. In July 2019, during season 15 of Deadliest Catch, Sig revealed that his wife June had been diagnosed with cancer. June Hansen has always been extremely private. She rarely appears on the show and almost never does interviews. So when Sig shared her diagnosis publicly, it was a big deal. Fans immediately started speculating about how serious it was and whether she'd survive. For months, there were no updates. June stayed out of the public eye while undergoing treatment. Sig focused on fishing, throwing himself into work the way he always had when things got difficult at home. But everyone could see the strain on his face. This wasn't just another health scare. This was his wife, his partner of more than 20 years, the mother of his adopted daughters. Then, in 2024 and 2025, false rumors started spreading on Facebook, claiming June had died. Fan pages with names like Deadliest Catch shows news shared edited photos and AI-generated images claiming Sig had announced June's death. The posts spread like wildfire, with thousands of people sharing condolences and prayers for the Hansen family. But it wasn't true. June was alive. In August 2025, Sig finally gave a real update in an interview with Parade. He said, "She did have potential cancer, but we got through that. So she's very cautious of her health, and she's working out every day. We have a swimming pool at home, so when we're home, she's swimming. But it is Seattle, so swimming when it's not raining. I try to keep up with her. She'd beat me every time." It was the first time in years Sig had publicly addressed June's health. And while he didn't go into detail about her treatment or how close they'd come to losing her, the relief in his voice was obvious. June had survived. They'd gotten through it together. But the experience changed something for Signor. He started talking more openly about wanting to spend time with his family, about prioritizing June and his daughters over fishing. For a man who'd spent 10 months a year in Alaska for most of his adult life, that was a significant shift in priorities. Passing the torch. You see, Mandy Hansen wasn't supposed to work on the Northwestern. Sig didn't want her there. He'd been raised with old Norwegian superstitions about women on fishing boats being bad luck, and he believed them. And so for years, he refused to even consider it. But Mandy wore him down. She worked salmon tendering seasons during summers. She went to nautical school. She proved she was serious. And slowly, Sig's attitude changed. In an interview, he said, "If you were talking to Sig Hansen of 30 years ago, I hate to say it, but there'd be a different mentality. And now, not because of the new day and age, it is because of my maturity, raising a daughter and seeing what she can do. My grandfather embedded into my mind that women aboard a boat are bad luck. That's how I was raised. And as you get on, you see that these are just old superstitious things of the past that have no meaning." By 2014, Mandy was working on the Northwestern. By 2018, she'd permanently joined the crew as full-time relief captain and captain in training. And by season 21 in 2025, she was running the boat solo while Sig went scouting with Captain Jonathan Hillstrand aboard the Time Bandit. Watching Mandy command the Northwestern was a teaching moment for both of them. When she faced a crisis and called Sig for help, he refused to give her answers. "You have to make your own decisions," he told her. It was the same tough love approach his father had used with him. Mandy proved she could do it, and more importantly, she proved it to her father. When Sig retires, and he's openly talking about retirement now, Mandy and her husband Clark Peterson will take over the Northwestern. Not Edgar, Sig's brother who spent decades as the ship's deck boss. Not Norman, Sig's other brother, but Mandy. But even as Sig plans his exit, he struggled to actually let go. "I can't stop. That's the problem," he admitted. "All of us are egomaniacs. You want to stop, but the ego portion won't let me stop." Still, at 58 years old, with 2 heart attacks behind him, multiple near-death experiences, and a wife he wants to spend more time with, Sig Hansen is finally confirming what fans have suspected. He's getting ready to walk away. The Norway exit plan. Sig and June have been planning their retirement for years, and it won't be in Seattle. They're going back to Norway, where Sig's family comes from, where his roots are. Sig even purchased an island in Norway a few years back. He and June are building an events center there, a place that will host concerts, weddings, and other functions. It's a complete departure from fishing, and that's the point. In a 2022 interview, Sig recalled a conversation he'd had with June a decade earlier during a TV interview in New York. The reporter asked where they thought they'd retire, and June said Norway. At the time, Sig thought she was full of it, but now, we'll definitely be spending more time there. It's her turn. Put it that way. Do you know what I mean? It's an acknowledgement of what June has sacrificed for his career. 20-plus years of being married to a man who spends 10 months a year in Alaska, raising their daughters largely on her own, dealing with his health scares, his legal troubles, his brother's crimes, the constant scrutiny of being married to a reality TV star. June has given a lot, and Sig knows it. He's a grandfather now. Mandy and her husband Clark have a daughter, Sailor Marie, born in November 2021. His other adopted daughter, Nina, has 2 young children as well. Sig talks about his grandkids the way he used to talk about crab quotas, with pride and passion. The ego that drove him to become one of the best crab fishermen in the world hasn't disappeared, but it's being redirected. He's building something new in Norway. He's watching Mandy take over the family business. He's spending time with June and his grandkids. He's trying to figure out who Sig Hansen is when he's not Captain Sig Hansen of the FV Northwestern. The cost of fame. Let's be honest about what Deadliest Catch cost Sig Hansen, because it wasn't free. Sure, it made him famous. It made him wealthy. It turned his family's fishing boat into a cultural icon and gave him opportunities he never would have had otherwise. He's appeared on The Tonight Show. He's done Donald Trump's Celebrity Apprentice. He voiced a character in Cars 2. He's written a best-selling book. He's raised over $60,000 for charity at events with Toby Keith. But it also put every aspect of his personal life under a microscope. When he had a heart attack, millions of people watched it happen. When his brother pled guilty to sexually assaulting a teenager, it was national news. When his estranged daughter sued him for childhood sexual abuse, the lawsuit was covered by the Seattle Times and every entertainment website. When he spit on an Uber driver and got arrested for assault, everyone knew about it. His alcoholism became public. His health scares became content. His family's tragedies became storylines. And through it all, he had to keep showing up to work, keep commanding the Northwestern, keep being the tough captain everyone expected him to be. When we first did this, we thought, well, the show is a neat tribute for our family. And that's great, Sig told Yahoo in 2014. Then, all of a sudden, the next year, they do another one and another one. And now it's become this icon, and people look up to you. And I almost feel responsible. I didn't ask for it, but we do know that we've affected a lot. That responsibility weighs on him. He's heard from families who watch Deadliest Catch during their darkest moments, while waiting in hospitals, while dealing with loss, while struggling through tough times. They tell him the show helped them get through it. And that matters to Senor. But it also means he can never really just be a normal guy anymore. The rumors about him, about his health, his marriage, his legal troubles, never stop. Even when they're completely false, like the Facebook posts claiming June died, they spread. Thousands of people believe them and share condolences before anyone can correct the record. It's exhausting. And then there's the question nobody really wants to ask. What happened with his daughter, Melissa? The lawsuit never went to trial. There was no public settlement, no resolution that anyone outside the family knows about. Just decades of estrangement and accusations that were serious enough for a judge to let the case proceed, but never resulted in criminal charges. We'll probably never know the full truth, but the fact that it exists, that those allegations are out there, that the lawsuit happened, that Sig has an adult daughter he doesn't have a relationship with, is part of the cost. Fair or not, true or false, it's a shadow that follows him. So at age 58, what has Sig Hansen confirmed? That he's planning to retire, that Mandy will take over the Northwestern, that he and June are moving to Norway, that his health scares changed him, that he's prioritizing family now in a way he never did before. But more than that, he's confirmed something else, that the tough, fearless captain everyone saw on TV for 20 years was also a guy who struggled, who made mistakes, who battled addiction and health problems and family trauma, who lost his brother to scandal and nearly lost his own life multiple times, who built an empire while his personal life crumbled in ways most people will never fully understand. The rumors about Sig Hansen have always been there. Whispers about his drinking, speculation about his health, questions about his family. And slowly, over the past few years, Sig has confirmed that a lot of those rumors were true. Not all of them, maybe, but enough. He's not the invincible captain anymore. He's a 58-year-old man who's had 2 heart attacks, battled substance abuse, watched his brother plead guilty to sexual assault, faced a lawsuit from his estranged daughter, nearly died from an infection, and stood by his wife through cancer. He's tired, he's scared, and he's finally ready to admit it. The legacy Sig Hansen leaves behind is complicated. He's one of the greatest crab fishermen who ever lived. He turned the FI Northwestern into a legend. He mentored his daughter to become the first female captain in Deadliest Catch history. He survived 20 years of reality TV cameras documenting every triumph and failure. But he also leaves behind questions that will never be answered, scandals that will never be fully explained, and a family that's more fractured than most fans realize. In the end, Sig Hansen isn't just confirming rumors. He's confirming that the cost of being Sig Hansen, the fame, the pressure, the scrutiny, was higher than anyone watching at home could have guessed. And after 2 decades, he's finally ready to stop paying it. The Northwestern will keep fishing. Mandy will keep the Hansen family legacy alive. But Sig? He's headed for Norway, where hopefully he can just be Sigurd Johnny Hansen again. Not Captain Sig, not the Deadliest Catch star, just a grandfather who wants to spend time with his wife and watch his grandkids grow up. So, what are your thoughts on this? Let us know in the comments section. Also, if you want more videos like this where we explore what really happened to your favorite reality TV stars, check out our video on Counting Cars members. Where are they now? It's got all the behind-the-scenes drama you never knew about. Links in the description.